530 yards of total offense. 244 through the air, 9 yards per pass. 286 on the ground. 7 yards per rush, 44 points. Rocket Sanders, 144, 2 touchdowns. Lenora Sellers threw for 244. He ran for 106 and 3 touchdowns. Best defense in the SEC.
I said they were top 3. And
down go the Aggies.
Guess what?
Down go the Aggies.
And credit to me, I picked South Carolina.
You did pick South Carolina in the game, but I have to say, Saturday.
And the Aggies, like we've talked about, and you've known a little bit of a troll job for me and the Aggies. I don't like the Aggies. I do think Mike Elko is a very good coach. He actually got out-coached. It was funny because typically if you look at all A&M's games, right, and like I said, we talked about it, I picked South Carolina, but if you look at all their games, like at halftime, the Aggies, and you can argue they weren't playing very good people, which they weren't, but it was interesting because South Carolina, a team that usually blows it coming out of the half, ended up shutting out the Aggies in the second half, and then, of course, but you're right, they moved the ball up and down the field over and over and over. The last 2 touchdowns were kind of, literally, they could have borderline almost taken a knee. They bust one, and then Reed goes out there, tries to throw it again, gets strip sacked, and then they run in another one, but they gave up 1,000,000 yards. They were, like you said, due for a loss.
Terrible spot.
It was a terrible spot, and I literally think, and people, might think I'm crazy saying this, but like, if those 2 teams played 10 times, even though South Carolina beat them this bad, I think they would split the. I think they're fairly even teams. So, yeah. In South Carolina, like we talked about, they're a pretty good football team. They just couldn't finish games. But this game, they finished all right.
I have to say, I went 3-1 on the podcast, 3-0 on my best bets this weekend. I gave out a 3-team moneyline dog parlay on the podcast that capped with South Carolina moneyline 42.7 to 1, and all of that pales in comparison to the joy I felt when the Aggies went down by 24. It was so beautiful.
You were pacing around like a lunatic.
Happy, that's right.
I couldn't even see Tennessee and Kentucky because this man was pacing around and like literally you would have thought he was coaching and I told Jonathan, I was like, I think Dylan got his 10,000 steps in today just watching the second half of the pacing around like a caged animal. It was pretty funny.
If the only time I do that besides Texas is when I'm rooting against Texas A&M.
Yeah.
It's a workout, okay? I am into the game. And look, if A&M's like, if they're 4-4, I don't really give a shit. But when they got a 7-1 and there's a legitimate chance of going to the SEC title game or going to the playoff when they don't deserve it, you better believe I'm using all my juju, my energy.
Question, since A&M sucks, can we get we'll put you on the spot here, a promise to the people that you'll eat dog shit out of a red Solo cup if Texas A&M beats Texas?
No.
Of course.
What's the line on that game going to be? 8, 10, 11?
No, I don't think it'll even be that.
It'll be at least a touchdown.
I bet it's a touchdown is my guess. I bet it would be 7.
Man, depends on what they do. The way they look against South Carolina.
It just depends on what Texas does, but I would be shocked if that line was over 7.
If they laid 18.5 to Vandy, 17 to Oklahoma, they were favorites against Georgia. I would be surprised. Now, I know Georgia now would probably be a favorite over Texas on a neutral, but that would mean Georgia. Man, I know there's nobody good in the country this year, but I think it's going to be, I get it, it's a rivalry game. If they build a rivalry game into that spot, it'll probably be 7. If they just do it based on pure numbers, that's going to be closer to 10, I think. But anyway.
Certainly could be.
That was, Turner even sent me this Barstool Dog of the Week where everybody's picking Mike Elko as a Dog of their week.
That was a bit of a troll job too, though. Big Cat was doing that. He likes Mike Elko fine, but he was doing that to troll Casey Smith, who's like, she's an Aggie.
Oh.
Yeah. So he wanted to take it before she did it. He's like, Mike Elko's right. She's like, well, that's my dog. Well, he's like, too bad. I go first. You host the show. It was more of like one of those, but yeah.
There were some other funny things that went on this weekend. Did you see everybody copying the UIW head headstand celebration?
Walter, I forget his name, but he's a transfer from Hawaii, I think. He's a pretty good little player.
Was that Clint's idea?
I don't know. I assume not. I actually didn't.
Shout out UIW, man. They're top 10 in the country?
They were 9 going into this week. Got another easy win.
Top 10 in the FCS. Got a good shot to make the playoffs there, right? And win the conference. Is that right? Yeah.
Hopefully they went out. on paper, they'll definitely be favorites.
Go Cardinals, baby. They're playing good ball. I know Turner's good buddies with their head coach there, so we're rooting for UIW. Anything else we want to talk about before did you want to talk about Peanut the Squirrel, or do we want to move on from that?
I mean, I think I know everybody, but like Jonathan sent me, what should not be lost in the shuffle is, and I don't want to mess this up. Give me 1 second. Peanut the Squirrel was an absolute tragedy. Overreach by the government. I mean, my God, what are we doing? We're using our resources. Dude, you should post this picture, too, that Jonathan sent me. It's a raccoon with a handgun, and it says, "Go, my friend.
Send it to
Avenge your fallen brother." And then Jonathan put, "Fred is being lost in the shuffle," which is extra shed. Please don't forget him. Fred was the raccoon brother of Peanut the Squirrel.
I did see that. They both were euthanized. Yes.
Absolute.
Travesty. I mean, the guy's heartbroken.
Well, it's disgusting.
It is disgusting. How dare they?
And it may have been fake, but someone posted a deal that the owner of Peanut and Fred has and this, I don't know if this is true, so allegedly, had a gay OnlyFans and was using Peanut the Squirrel to promote it. And I was like, what a plot twist this is. From everybody going up in arms, being like, oh no, he's sexually exploiting this animal for views. But I don't know how true that is, but it was absolutely hilarious.
Netflix
you can put that on the screen too. It says like Peanut's daddy or something like that. It's very only in America, as Big Dog likes to say. But yeah, Peanut the Squirrel, it's absolutely, and Fred. Don't forget Fred. I think Peanut will go down like Harambe style of like, folklore, if you will. Because Harambe still gets shout-outs all the time.
Peanut was robbed of some good years. I looked up how long squirrels live. I think in captivity they can live up to 20, 25 years. So.
Imagine being a squirrel who's
way too short.
Imagine being a squirrel who's rescued, okay? Odds stacked against you. You're sitting inside a home with air conditioning, all the peanuts, cashews, whatever, almonds, acorns you can stomach, enjoying your life, and the state of New York comes in, grabs you, and euthanizes you.
I still don't understand.
Disgusting.
I still actually, in all seriousness, don't understand why they did that. But I don't want to get into this on the sports podcast, but I'm just confused at what the heck happened. I almost said the F word there.
Weirdly enough, the story is that it says, I don't know how true this is too, but X is a wild place. There's like some lady, and it was like some fat Karen from Texas was the one that turned in Peanut the Squirrel.
Of course it was.
And I was like, really? And it's like, yeah, but anyway, that's apparently what happened. So.
I believe it.
Anyway,
okay.
Rest in peace, Peanut, and don't forget about Fred either.
What? Yeah, I forgot the raccoon. I was like, "Who's Fred?" And then I forget you already.
Exactly, you've already forgotten him.
Okay, here's the deal. We had a group before we go into our like regular segments. We had a group meeting last week. It did not go that well. However, we decided to try a few things, and some good things came out of it. And so one of the things is we're gonna switch up some segments around here. Okay, and so today we're actually gonna start with WNBA or not here before we go to best thing we saw this week and all those things. All right. So we're going to start with our favorite segment at the beginning. And I will say, I'm not going to, here's the deal this week. Okay. I decided that you don't deserve 2 pictures and extra information and whether or not knowing whether or not
I'm too good at this game.
Whether
folks.
or not I flipped a coin after he went 4 for 5 on me last week. And I did this 2 days early and spent a lot of time on it.
You didn't tell me if you flipped a coin last week.
I didn't, but I've been telling you that I flip a coin or didn't flip a coin.
You didn't flip a coin this week.
And you did. There was kind of an understanding that I've been flipping a coin, so I'm not going to tell you whether I did or not anymore. And so anyway, long story short, you're getting less information now, and you're going to have to do this on your own, all right? And so we're going to start right here. It's time for WNBA or not.
It's time to play WNBA or not.
And we're going to
Internet's favorite show,
greatest game on the internet. We're going to start with number 1 here. Okay, number 1.
Zoom in.
And
as Jonathan says, I never read the comments or never watch the episodes, but I read Jonathan's comment, and he goes, Uncle T asking to zoom in, acting like he has any idea who these people are is hilarious. This is just unbelievably tough here. There's so many different. My mind is in a blender because it's like this obviously looks like a WNBA player, and then he put the bait out there right away. And Dylan put this picture on here going, it's too obvious. He's going to say it's not a WNBA player. But then he's going to psych himself out and say, no, it's got to be a WNBA player because Dylan's trying to trick me. So this is not a WNBA player. Is that Cocaine Bear? Really?
Go.
Oh, man.
Let's go.
Man, that was an obvious one to
Oh,
start.
baby.
Kelsey
That
Mitchell,
is Kelsey
Cocaine
Mitchell,
Bear.
a.k.a. Cocaine Bear. She plays for the Indiana Fever.
I remember walking in that one day and your mom and you kept saying Cocaine Bear. I'm like, what the are you guys talking about? And you're like, oh, that's what Dylan calls Kelsey Mitchell, Cocaine Bear. What a great nickname.
Actually, to be fair, my mom came up with that nickname.
Oh.
I agreed with it. But
Shout out, Julie.
She actually did come up with that nickname.
Cocaine Bear.
Cocaine Bear.
All right, 0 for 1. That's
0
a
for
tough
1.
start.
Tough start. All right. He's off to a tough start here. All right, we're moving on to number 2.
I feel like I might go 0 for today.
I'm not going to say a word. I'm not giving you any
over.
information. Here's number 2. Number 2. Is this a WNBA player or not?
Trying to look at all the surroundings here. I don't think that he's done well with these pictures. She looks like she's at some sort of an office building, perhaps a school. What has she got in her hand? Is that a hat?
That looks like a hat.
Hat of some sort. I am going to say...
A purse, maybe? Hard to tell. No, maybe a hat. No, I don't know. It's hard to tell. That's a purse. That's definitely a purse.
She's got the matching purse for the fit, the neon green purse. That is a WNBA player.
Let's go. You're 0 for 2, baby.
I knew it. I just need to stick. I'm done thinking about him. I'm just going with my gut. I'd be 2 for 2. I thought Dylan was getting crafty, and he's not. This is just the same old fastball bullshit.
I'm a step ahead.
All right, no, it's not. I was expecting better. All right,
I'm a step ahead of you
it's
because
just
I
too
knew
easy.
you were going to overthink these and go into
my
depth
God.
of all these.
Oh, my God.
Oh, is it a purse or a hat?
All right,
Is it-
just who is it? Let's move on.
That's Storm Reed. She's an actress.
I knew it.
All right. That is number 2. Number 3. Number 3. And this could he be 0 for 3 to start? Could he possibly lose in the first 3? If so, this is the greatest work I've ever done. Here's number 3.
This chick plays volleyball or something, not a WNBA player.
0 for 3. I'm on a f***ing roll, baby. Let's go. That is JC Sheldon of the
I'm going to go
Dallas
0 for
Wings.
5. I knew it. I could feel
Let's
it.
go.
As soon as I missed the first one, I was like, I'm doomed.
He cannot win. I have locked in a win for the day.
That's who?
JC Sheldon of the
Okay.
Dallas Wings. Now, let's see if he can get number 4 and 5 and salvage a 40%er today.
Maybe I should just add a 6 to try to go 50-50 like you did last week.
I can do that. I can add a
No,
6.
there's no way I'm getting 3 in a row here. Spread your wings.
Is this a WNBA player or not?
I'm trying to think who that could be. It looks like she's wearing an Olympic shirt. This is spread your wings.
You want me to zoom in on the logo?
Yeah. Oh no. Okay, not an Olympic shirt. Giving off like Snooki Jersey Shore vibes. Little. I want to say you're trying to trick me, but then you haven't been tricking me all day. That's not a WNBA player.
Damn it. Yeah, he got that
Okay,
one.
so yeah, I just should have started with that philosophy at the beginning. and I
Figuring
would
out the logic on
Yeah,
this one. That
okay.
is Lyra Valkyria. And
at least
she's
I didn't go over.
She's a pro wrestler. Damn it. I was about to really start celebrating if we got to number 5. 0 for 4. Okay.
All right.
Last one. Can he salvage a 2 for 5? All right. Is this a WNBA player or not?
Yes.
Yes, I got him on the last one. I switched
I just
up the logic.
went quick.
Let's go.
right.
That is not a WNBA player. That
Is
is
that
a
a sprint?
volleyball player. You missed
Okay.
that. You switched up number
All right.
3 and number
All
5.
right.
That is Jordan Bird. She plays volleyball at UT Austin. I knew if it was too obvious.
Whatever.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
I
At
didn't
least
think,
I got one. I didn't want to go over.
In all seriousness, I thought on this one he would be like Dylan's trying to trick me, making this look too obvious. And then
but you did that with the other ones. Like,
I know.
the other ones were, like,
Dude,
Cocaine Bear was
look,
a
I try not
shoe-in.
to think about it. If one, I'm just like, okay, this one, I'm going to do this. This one, I'm going to do this. No pattern, no logic. There's no logic to WNBA or not. It's pure gut. It's pure heart and determination, like the Brookie. And speaking of Brookie, that's what we're going to go to next, okay? That's called a professional segue right there, all right? Brookie of the week.
And I know I gave my Brookie of the week, and I'll start with the Brookie of the week since you started last week.
Go ahead.
So it's a two-parter, but you already made the title for this. My number one Brookie of the week is NFL officials.
I actually didn't make the Brookie of the week
well,
yet, so do what you want.
Okay, well, no, it's a two-parter. NFL officials first, who I didn't watch a ton of NFL yesterday, but there were two calls. One in the Seahawks-Rams game where Stafford threw an absolute dime to a guy, and it was placed absolutely perfectly. And the only play that Love had for the Seahawks was to go right through him and dislodge the ball. It was a fantastic hit, and a flag was thrown. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Are you serious? Like, and I've lost my mind like my brothers do watching football, but it was like one of those, and then they got together, and they're like, hey, look, I mean, this is the end of the game. This basically ends the game. It puts them in field goal range. That was a good, clean hit. He had taken a step already. Like, we're not calling that a hit on the defenseless receiver. Picked it up. So refreshing to see. Second one, Sam Darnold gets thrown down like a rag doll by some big dog for the Colts. And let me tell you, his bull rush on the guy was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Put him on skates, just absolutely, for a lack of a better term, bitched this guy, threw him down, throws Darnold down. Darnold throws the ball down like a hot potato. They pick it up and run it for a touchdown. And, of course, they threw a flag. I go, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And like Dylan said, who was it? Pereira, Gene Steratore, who came on
Pereira.
and was like, oh, yeah, by the letter of the law, that was, which I'm sure it is. They want to protect their quarterbacks, but they picked it up because they were like, we're not going to affect. It was a touchdown. And like you made a great point, if it wasn't a touchdown where the player stood, probably. But hopefully we're getting closer to the point where it's like, I get protecting quarterbacks because that's the moneymaker in the NFL and you have to do it. But I mean, some of this stuff, and I get the body weight one, but the ones where giant defensive linemen are coming in with their hands up, and it's not like they're throwing a right hook that make contact with the quarterback's head, that cannot be a 15-yard penalty. When it's not intentional and there's not like very, very big forcible contact. I don't think any of it should be. Anyway, shout out NFL officials for not being pussies. Second Brookie of the week.
Wait, hold on. Can I respond to that real quick? Because I think it's important. No.
You hate officials.
No.
The second Brookie of the week
this is bullshit.
was a guy with an old guy getting the shit beat out of him at the Florida-Georgia game. You can respond to both these. Old guy, I'm not playing the race card, and obviously if it was reverse, it wouldn't be good, but there's a black cop just going, beating the hell out of like some 70-year-old guy. You show me that. Was horrible. Just said the SEC means more. But there was another one who's actually my number one, and it was a guy in the top of the stands. And dude, I swear, they're both working the same event. I swear it was the same black cop. There's a guy sitting there that apparently was like stirring up shit, but he was sitting in his seat next to his wife. And they were like, you're leaving. And the guy was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to sit right here. I'm not going to stir up any more problems. And they try to get him up. The one guy's like reasoning with him. And I swear it's the same cop. You'll have to see the video. Comes in with a taser and just blasts him. In this guy, dude, he must have been like ex-special forces or something. He shoots him and just starts taking the prongs out. And the other guy shoots him and he's just grabbing wires and throwing them out. It's like one real tough SOB up there. But yeah, the Georgia-Florida game looked like the best people watching in the world. I mean, it's like, but cops are beating the hell out of, I mean,
this is in the stands.
I mean, it looked bad. Like it wasn't like, and I swear it was the same guy both times. You'd have to check the video and see, but it looked like the same guy.
There's like 8 incidents in the stands in that one game.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Anyway, I won't respond. Well, let me respond one thing to the officials. And I just want to say this. I agree with everything you said. I don't like that the lead official threw the flag on the one for Darnold. It was by definition a penalty. And look, I am all for that not being a flag. 100%. I think it should not be a flag. I hate it. I think neither of them should have been flagged. I think they need to get rid of all of that stuff. You're getting paid millions of dollars to play in this league. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Okay? I'm tired of all the BS rules. However, I don't like that they just have the power to decide when they do and do not call that, because that is Patrick Mahomes, and it's the final drive of the game for the Chiefs, and they fumble and the Bengals return that for a touchdown. That is a flag 100 out of 100 times, and everybody in the world knows it. That's my problem, is they just have the ability to determine who gets the call and who doesn't.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they have that on every play, like every hold or whatever.
I agree, but
sure, I would say there is bias sometimes, but those, to me, like those two, were just kind of like, hey, look, you get together. It's like there may have been some contact to the head, and I know whatever, but it's like, anyway, you're right. They have to figure out a better system for it. I don't know what it is, but like Jeremiah always rants and raves about, is like the letter of the law with targeting is it's like.
Well, yeah, but that's also not targeting.
Sure, I'm just saying, like. When it comes to roughing the passer, though,
sure, I agree. Yeah,
someone's hand comes in and grazes the quarterback. Most of the time, it's not like a right hook. It's like it makes they're wearing a helmet. Like that's not going to hurt them.
Can't hit him high. Can't hit him low. Can't drive him into the ground. Can't do anything. It's ridiculous. It's out of control.
By the way, I have another thing you can put up. It's that I don't know if you saw it. They did. Nate Bargatze did that deal where like he's in the boat. I don't know if you saw it, where he's acting like George Washington and they're like asking all these questions about America. It's really funny. But someone had like made one where it was like, and if you hit the quarterback too hard, we'll call it roughing the passer. And they're like, well, what does that entail, sir? He's like, you can't hit him high and you can't hit him low. And they go, well, what if you hit him in the middle of his body? Well, you can't do that too hard either. It's like, it's very, very funny.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's accurate.
It's a joke.
My rookie of the week is going to go to Saquon Barkley. And this was best thing that SVP saw yesterday was his reverse hurdle in the game, which it was pretty sweet. The most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. He just defies logic and physics. But in general, just Saquon, 30 touches in the game, 200 yards from scrimmage, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts' numbers look good yesterday, but in general, he's been not good this year. He's been very average to below average for the Eagles. The defense really isn't that good. A.J. Brown's been out for multiple games. Devontae Smith's missed games. And the one consistent part of this team and why they're 6-2 is Saquon Barkley.
Question, how did the Jags come back in that?
Yeah, they got up 22-0, and then the Eagles offense just completely stalled.
They were just stalling.
And I want to come back to that game in good, bad, and the ugly, because I want to talk about the Jaguars, because it was ridiculous. Did you watch the end of the game?
I didn't see it.
I got to tell you about the end of the game. So, but back to Saquon real quick. I told you at the beginning of the year, I thought he was going to have a CMC 2023 type season. Through 9 games last year, CMC had 169 touches, 944 yards, 5.6 yards per touch, and 13 touchdowns. Through 9 games, Barkley, 177 touches, 1,071 yards, so about 1,000 more yards, over 1,000 more yards, 6.1 yards per touch, over a half yard more per touch, kept run and receiving. And then he does have 8 touchdowns to CMC's 13. This is compared to CMC's first 9 games and Barkley's first 9 games. So you're saying
Barkley has obviously not 1,000 more, 100 more.
Sorry, he's over 1,000.
He had over 1,000. Okay.
Right, he has 100 more, 130 more yards at this point from scrimmage than CMC had last year when he was the leading candidate in the house for MVP. Is all I'm saying.
Got it.
Barkley's been phenomenal this year. He's the reason they're winning games. And he won them the Falcons game by himself. You could argue he won them this game yesterday by himself. He's been phenomenal. Okay, best thing we saw this week. You got it, or you want me to go?
Best thing I saw this week, it was just the funniest thing I saw this week, which was Dak Prescott saying we suck on the sideline. He needs to know that there's a camera on him at all times. It's absolutely hysterical because the Cowboys do fucking suck. So he is right. And then he pulled a hamstring or what? He's done for a while, or
I don't know. I don't know how long he's out, but he acted. I'll tell you what.
I just thought it was hilarious. He was like, "We fuck." I forgot who he turned to. He was like, "We suck."
He sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks.
No. I know. He should say.
We'll come back to the Cowboys here in a second. Let me get my best thing this week.
Yeah, go ahead.
Best thing I saw this week was Rudy Gobert getting absolutely posterized by white boy Christian Brown. I mean, it was one of the most ridiculous, disgusting dunks I've seen on someone in a long time. It was embarrassing. And then after, Christian Brown is basically flexing because he's going nuts because he just dunked on a 7'9" dude who is supposedly a 4-time defensive player of the year, although they're all fraudulent DPOIs. After he does it, Rudy Gobert decides to grab Christian Brown and put him in a headlock. It was the most wussy, pussy, I'm going to hit you type deal I've ever seen. Like, it clearly looked like the guy has never fought anybody, doesn't know what he's doing. But the funniest part about the whole thing was after Gobert basically swings on Christian Brown, he's in the background. All this stuff there's all the teams both coming together, fighting happening. And you just see Russell Westbrook, my boy, running full speed at Rudy Gobert, about to take him out. And you see Rudy Gobert, who is 7'5", 6', and Russell Westbrook, who's 6'3", is a foot and a half shorter and weighs 100 pounds less than Rudy Gobert. And Gobert is hopping out of the way, like shielding himself from getting hit by Russell Westbrook. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. I was
French,
dying
dude.
Laughing. Like,
they're lovers, not fighters.
I'm going to be a tough guy and swing at this guy who's 2 feet shorter than me because he dunked on me. And then when Russell Westbrook comes in, I'm going to jump away. He feared for his life. It was hilarious. It made my day because it was my favorite player versus my least favorite player.
Well, it's a good thing that Russell Westbrook's willing to fight because he sure can't play basketball anymore.
How dare you? He actually was the reason they came back in that game. How dare you?
He's no bearded monster.
He can't shoot.
He's no Jimbo.
He can't shoot, but he can sure do everything else.
How's Jimbo been playing?
Terrible.
Oh,
they blew the game to the Suns. By the way,
I'm gonna go
I gave out one win total on my website for the NBA total. It was the Suns over 49.5 wins. Mike Budenholzer, when he comes into...
I'm surprised it was that low.
Yeah, well, they only won 45 last year, but when Mike Budenholzer comes into a organization, he wins 55 games every single time the first 2 years. Like, it just doesn't not happen. He done it in Atlanta, Milwaukee. Anywhere he goes, the teams have been worse than they've had with this group, and he always turns them around. Okay. We're going to go to mid-season awards real quick.
James Harden is averaging 22, 9, and 10.8. Show some respect for the bearded monster.
He's played literally 5 games.
Listen, his field goal percentage, little low. We know that with James. I'm not going to say that.
No, say it. I'm going to look it up.
Listen,
say it.
Listen, he's playing great ball.
What's he shooting for?
36%.
36%, dear Lord.
What a player.
Oh, my goodness.
Listen, dude.
He must just be trying to average a triple-double. He's also averaging 6 turnovers a game, leads the NBA. Okay. We're going to do NFL. We're going to kind of go through this somewhat quickly, but NFL midseason awards. Okay. Yeah. We're through week 9 after
yesterday. The problem is I think we're going to have all the same.
Well, we can discuss them, though.
Okay.
So NFL MVP. Who do you have for MVP?
I'd give it to Josh Allen. Josh Allen's my MVP.
I would, too.
You can make a case for Barkley, but...
You can make a case for Lamar.
No, for sure, after that 5-touchdown game. I just think Allen's done it. And Lamar's been very good, too, but... Allen does it with way less, man. Way less. I mean, Lamar Jackson has, whatever. I mean, you put Saquon number 1 running back, whatever. But he's got a top 5 running back.
Top 2 running back.
Yeah. I'm being fairly generous when I say that.
He has
but obviously,
a top 5 tight end in Mark Andrews.
Yeah,
Isaiah Likely's a top 15 tight end backup. He's got Zay Flowers, who, especially you watching him yesterday against that best defense, he's going to become a top 15 receiver, top 10 receiver.
Yeah, he's awesome. So... Yeah, he's got much, much more around him. Josh Allen always seems to, yesterday at halftime, was not playing well and then came back and just lit it up in the second half. And he doesn't, like I said, he doesn't have a great surrounding cast. So he's my MVP so far.
Threw for 2,000 yards, 64% completion, and 17 passing touchdowns to only 2 picks, plus 3 rushing touchdowns, and he's run for over 200 yards. That's his stat line on this year. And literally, like we said, we talked about this last week, if you take him off the Bills, what is their record? Right? Take Lamar off the Ravens, they're still pretty decent. They probably still win 3 to 4 games. I don't know if the Bills win 1 game without Josh Allen.
Oh, did you see that interview, by the way? Speaking of just bad rosters, you see the interview with Bruce Arians where he was talking. He was on Part of My Take, and he was talking. I just saw the clip. I didn't see the whole interview. But they were talking about all the quarterbacks he's coached, which is obviously a crazy extensive Brady, all these guys. And he's like, if you could put it in, if you could just have one, or who would you want? And he said he'd take Andrew Luck. He goes, he took the worst roster I've ever seen in the NFL the playoffs, ever. And I was like, that's true. And
yeah.
And he's like, I love Andrew Luck.
One,
I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah, he just didn't want to play anymore.
These guys suck. Tired of getting hit in the head.
That's literally what he did. I mean, he's actually probably smart for doing
One of the funniest things, and I think I haven't told the story on the podcast, but I was at a friend's wedding in Houston, and they had the reception at this. It was cool. It was this basement level bar at this hotel, and we're sitting there, and one of the guys which is surprising, way more intoxicated than me, and comes up and goes, "Hey," I go, "What's up, man?" He goes, "Did you see him?" And I was like, "Who?" He goes, the big man over there, and it was Andrew Luck.
No way.
And he was wearing, it was hilarious because he's just like he was wearing like, it looked like legitimately the same Colts, like the suit he would wear. It was like the Colts colors, like suit to the wedding, and he was just a part of the other wedding party.
Oh my
like,
gosh,
at the wedding.
I love
was
it.
like, did you say? I was like, dude, I'm not gonna go bother Andrew Luck over there. And he went over and talked to him for like 5 minutes.
And I'm sure Andrew was nice enough to talk to him.
Yeah,
and
he talked to him for a little bit. He's
Yeah.
like, okay, bud, I'll talk to you later.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big Andrew Luck fan. That was my guy. Very, very disappointed when he retired. Okay. So both of us are gonna have obviously Josh Allen. Again, it sucks they gave Lamar the MVP last year because I think he deserves to be in the conversation of winning it way more this year than last year. His numbers last year were terrible.
Listen, he could easily win it
I'm
this
not
year,
saying
too,
he
yeah.
deserves to win it. I think Josh Allen is my MVP. I'm just saying it's funny that they handed it to him last year.
What are the odds? Like, who's the favorite in it?
I think he is the
Lamar
favorite.
is?
Because, dude, it's such a media-driven thing, and everybody just talks about him. He's electric to watch. So when you watch him, and nobody talks about Josh Allen. I can't believe he was voted most overrated player. Okay, so we know. Here, I'm gonna pivot on this one. We know if we had to do Rookie of the Year, it would go to Jaden Daniels, right? That's obvious. Okay. I want to know your ranking of the other 3 quarterbacks behind Jaden Daniels. If you had to rank the other 3 rookie quarterbacks right now, Drake May, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, what order would you put them in after yesterday's performances?
Just like where I think they're going to end up, like who's going to be the best?
What
or
they've
like...
done right now.
Okay, well, what they've done right now, although Caleb Williams hasn't been good, I would still put him probably second.
Wow.
I would put Bo, but because May has only played a couple games, that's why it's kind of
been better in his couple games than Caleb has been in his games.
Sure, but I'm just saying. Listen. Okay, I'll finish answering. I'll finish answering the question. I'd put Caleb 2. Bo Nix in May. I'd probably put May 3 and Bo Nix 4. But the one thing I would say is when I think who's gonna, I think Jaden Daniels is gonna be the best out of the group, and I think Drake May is gonna be the second.
That's what I agree too. I said that from the start.
But I'm just saying. I mean, Caleb obviously has been bad in some games. I'm just saying Drake May's literally only played in 3 games.
I get that.
But I think that Drake May will have a better career.
And he literally, I know he threw a pick at the end of the game, and Bailey's Titans got a win yesterday. Congrats, Bailey, on getting that win. But Drake May, that game only went to overtime because of Drake May. He ran for almost 100 yards yesterday, and he threw the most ridiculous last-second touchdown. Like, he was getting hit. I thought he was throwing the ball away. Like, he extended the play, and rolled to his left, and then threw it across his body to his right, and somehow found a wide-open receiver in the end zone as he was getting leveled and tied the game, sent it to overtime. The kicker almost missed the extra point. And then
yeah, by the way, another thing. I was telling my brother this. If you lead that touchdown drive and you're the Patriots playing the Titans,
go for 2.
You just go for 2.
100%.
There's zero reason to play extra football.
Plus, you've been down the entire game. You were losing the entire game. You're down 7 to score late. Like,
go for 2.
You go for 2. And I'm glad the Titans won. But Drake May, to me, I would actually weirdly, just from what I've seen, you could say, okay, numbers-wise, sure, you can't because he's only played 3 games, but what I've seen in those 3 games, he's been significantly better than Caleb Williams. If I had him tomorrow, meaning if I could pick a quarterback second tomorrow, I would pick Drake May, right? And and I'm not even talking about just like for the future. I'm saying if I needed him to win I needed a quarterback to win a game tomorrow for a team, I would pick Drake May over Caleb Williams. I would pick Bo Nix over Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has been atrocious in most of his starts. If you remove the 2 games that Caleb Williams played, the 2 worst defenses in the NFL, Jacksonville with a bevy of injuries in London, and then the Carolina Panthers, he's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns in the rest of his games. There's 4 games he has not thrown a touchdown, and 4 games he has thrown under 50% completion. The last 2 games, he was atrocious, absolutely unplayably bad. And he's got more weapons than any of those rookie quarterbacks, by far. It's not even close. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, it's ridiculous.
I would agree with you for sure that he has way more weapons and should be better with those weapons. I mean, Drake May, but you also have to understand, too. I mean, you're talking about him not playing anybody. Drake May was playing the Titans yesterday.
I agree, but Drake May...
that's probably... they're... definitely a bottom 5 defense in the entire league. But the one thing I'll say about Drake May is a lot of people don't realize he can run. He's very mobile.
Very mobile.
A lot of people don't know that. But, you look at his stats, there's 29 to 41 for 206 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. So, he was, Very, very average.
Still had a QBR.
Had
every game he start. Well, no, actually,
Yeah,
Texans he had a bad one the first start. Since his first start, he's had at least a 44 QBR at every game. Caleb's had multiple games under 20. I mean, it's just to me.
I agree with you. Like I'm not arguing with you. I think I would take Jaden Daniels 1, obviously. Then I would take Drake May 2 over those guys. I'm just saying, like, if you were saying over the course of the year, and I just, at that point, I have to take Caleb Williams. Now, I don't want him, but I'm just saying the way you asked the question.
Okay, quickly, because I probably spent too much time on this. Coach of the year.
I guess it's got to be O'Connell.
O'Connell?
Yeah.
I would say it's Dan Quinn. I think Quinn, they were 4-13 last year. And I think O'Connell, and again, I put on here, like, if you want to make an argument for Kevin O'Connell or for Jim Harbaugh, I wouldn't argue with either of those. But I just think Dan Quinn, Mr. 28-3, they hadn't had a winning season since 2016. They're 4-13 last year, and they're going to make the playoffs, have a shot at winning the division. They're almost certainly going to win 10 games, right? And I get it, you got Jaden Daniels, but most of that roster is pretty similar last year.
No, I mean, I was on the spot with that one thinking about it, and you're actually right because... Yeah, I think right now Dan Quinn's definitely the leader for it. I think O'Connell's a close second.
I think O'Connell's a very close second. He's been phenomenal. What he's done there with Sam Darnold, losing their rookie quarterback and pivoting to him. Okay, if you had to pick the Super Bowl right now, reevaluate the Super Bowl, who would you pick?
Lions over the Ravens.
Lions over the Ravens. I said Lions over the Bills, and I think the Ravens and the Chiefs are more likely than the Bills, but I kind of just want the Bills
I want the Bills to go too.
If the Lions played the Chiefs in a Super Bowl tomorrow, who would you pick?
The Lions.
The Lions, really? I would pick the Chiefs. I think the Lions are a better football team. I think they're.
You talking about with the Chiefs not getting not getting Pacheco? Or Rice. And either of those guys.
Rice isn't going to be back anyway. Pacheco might be. I'm just saying.
Pacheco helps people. Pacheco helps them a lot.
No, he does.
He is such a more dynamic.
He's way dynamic. He's a big piece. Okay, if they had Pacheco back, who would you take? I'm just never betting against Patrick Mahomes versus Jared Goff.
Yeah.
I'm just never doing it.
Yeah.
But I agree, the Lions as a whole are probably better than the Chiefs right now. They are better than the Chiefs. Okay.
I mean, I think that line, if they played, it would be Lions by 3 for sure. I think that's a full. I think there'd be a full. Now, like, if they said, hey, you lose your life if you lose the game, I'd just take Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens. Patrick Mahomes and the calls.
It's Russian roulette if you lose miss the bet.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on. NFL main topic real quick before we got to talk about the Cowboys, and then because it's just what we do here. And then what we can do is we can either discuss Lions Packers because that was the best, big matchup of the day, or we can skip that, just go quickly.
Good life lesson for people at home that I don't know. I know people try to like jump on things early, like to get better numbers, but it's like a really good life lesson that if the game's outdoors somewhere, like you just don't. You have to wait to bet.
100% you do.
I mean, it was a monsoon that
game.
You
could not throw the ball.
You couldn't throw it.
You couldn't throw. I mean, Jared Goff could throw it, but Jordan Love couldn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk Cowboys. And look, I want to just discuss, Cowboys lose yesterday 27-21 to the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. Okay. Dak Prescott gets hurt in the game, supposedly. They showed the play, dude. I don't see how he possibly hurt his hamstring, but whatever. He was ruled out. He did not even attempt to come back in the game. They put Cooper Rush in, I don't understand how that guy still has a job as a backup, but he did end up leading one touchdown drive at the end of the game. Regardless. Okay, so I'm watching the press conference after the game, right? And Dallas trailed from the start, from the jump. It was 7-3 in the first quarter, never led, never tied it, but had multiple chances to stay in the game, to tie the game late. Mike McCarthy, in the press conference, basically shit on the entire team. He said the pre-snap penalties, the lack of execution, right? The inability to finish drives. They turned it over on downs 4 times in the game. But then the most ridiculous thing that I'm curious to hear your take on is that he said that coming into the game, they wanted to play more up-tempo. Their plan was to go no huddle, move the ball quickly, get up to the line, and run fast tempo. Okay? I didn't get to watch the very first drive. I was doing something outside, but apparently in the first drive, they used up tempo, and I kind of looked at the play-by-play, and they did, right? They went down the field. Dak Prescott stalled the drive out, and they ended up settling for a field goal, but they went down the field like 70 yards in like 3.5 minutes. It was a pretty quick drive, okay? Mike said on the first drive, we moved the ball. We did that. After that, he said, we didn't do it the rest of the game. I wish we could have done more of that. Are you not the head coach? You're not only the head coach, you're the offensive coordinator and the play caller. How on earth, if your plan as the head coach and the OC and the play caller is to be moving at fast tempo, do you possibly run the slowest tempo in the NFL in week 9? The slowest. And I'll tell you why they are the slowest. It's because every single motherfucking play, Dak Prescott goes to the line and he checks the play.
Here we go.
And then it's so annoying. But dude, beyond the here we go bullshit, he thinks he's Peyton Manning. It's, oh, the mic, this, you go here, let me change the protection, Lola. Dude, there was a play yesterday. It was a big play in the game. Dallas was driving. I think they were down 10. They're at midfield. This was in the fourth quarter. They might have been down 7. Okay? Dak comes up. It's 4th and 1. They're going for it. He checks the play at the line, and he checks to a jet sweep for CeeDee Lamb on 4th and less than 1. And on the jet sweep, the Falcons never shifted. They showed the play after, okay? And there were 3 dudes, 1, 2, 3, right on the edge where he was going in the jet sweep. Jake Ferguson and Jalen Tolbert were the only 2 blockers out there. So there were 3 guys to block 2 dudes, and he checked to a run that went straight to that. And they ran the play, and the unblocked guy ran straight through and tackled CeeDee Lamb for a 4-yard loss. It was like the most baffling thing I've ever seen in my entire life. He checked to that play. But my question to you, beyond Dak Prescott, is that a thing? If Mike McCarthy wanted to run up tempo and stuff like that, is that a thing Dak Prescott's just like, he has the control to just change, you think? Or is Mike McCarthy just blaming everybody and this is mainly on him? I guess I'm asking you, whose fault is this? That we keep having these problems.
It's probably Dallas, they're just not very good. But,
I just mean the fact that the coach comes out in the press
conference. No, Mike McCarthy should have been fired a long time ago. Like, he just needs to be fired. They're 3-5. And the only thing that could happen is a spark at this point from someone else, that maybe something crazy happens and they make the playoffs. They're not making the playoffs with Mike McCarthy. They just need to get rid of him. Dak Prescott was fucking horrible. He only had 133 yards passing. He was 18-24, but it's like, what do you get? I don't know. They're just screwed for a long time, I think, after paying Dak and paying Lamb. I don't know what they're going to do. Like, we've had that discussion plenty of times where it's like, well, what else are your options? You know what I mean? But apparently someone said, I believe it was Greeny on ESPN, where he made a good point, and I don't know if this is true, but he was talking about if that business would have been done last year, like you sign your franchise quarterback and you sign CeeDee Lamb, there's all kinds of ways to give yourself way more cap room just by the way they did it. And he goes, no, you have an owner who's basically an old senile fuck that's just like, an old stubborn son of a bitch. It's like, no, we're just going to wait, whatever. See, and that's why they didn't have money to sign Derrick Henry, which they could have very easily, according to him, which I'm sure he looked into it, they could have very easily done. I don't know, man. I know we have to talk Cowboys because you guys are Cowboys fans and people care about the Cowboys, but the Cowboys suck. Season's over.
Should they just tank?
I don't think they're going to tank. What are you tanking for?
Well, you're just going to get a high draft pick.
I just don't think. I don't think they're going to give up on the season yet. But I would just listen, Mike McCarthy. You look at these results. When you get shredded at home by the Saints, 44-19. That Ravens game, they got the shit beat out of them. They just scored 2 trash time touchdowns to make it look close. Beat the Giants.
Barely beat the Giants.
Barely beat the Giants. That game with Steelers came down to 1 play. Winning on the road, and they lose to the Lions 47-9. When you lose to the Lions 47-9, and you lose 3 in a row, they go Eagles, Texans, Commanders next. Be lucky to win one of those games.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just fire them. I don't know what. Try somebody as an interim coach and see how it goes. Like, if it was me, and I don't know how this works, and if you'd even agree to do it, but if it was me, I would, if I was Jerry Jones, I would call Mike Vrabel and be like, hey, we want you to be an interim coach and coach the rest of the season. It's a job interview to see how it goes.
Sure.
If you do good, you get, you have the job. If not, we're going to go. Because it's, interviewing somebody really quickly and seeing what they can do on the fly and then going from there.
The only other option is just like, you think it's a disaster, and Jerry won't do this because he thinks they can still win because he's delusional. But it's like, the only other option would be intentionally let Mike McCarthy keep his job knowing it's going to just finish as a disaster. You get you lose as much as you get a high draft pick, and then you go out and get a guy like, and I don't know that this guy will be a good head coach because we've seen really good play callers turn into bad head coaches. For example, Brian Daboll, he was an awesome OC and ended up being a terrible head coach. But Ben Johnson, it seems to be the hot commodity, and he has shown that at least as an OC, he's not a one-year hit wonder. He's been doing this for multiple years and getting better and better. There's a little.
I mean, if I was the Cowboys, realistically, and you're trying to win, if you are trying to win, and you just paid your two best offensive players that amount of money, you go spend. It doesn't matter what it is. You just go spend and get them.
Yes.
Make him the highest paid head coach. Who cares?
I know. It's
another $2 or $3 million out of Jerry Jones' pocket. He ain't going broke. Just go get. If you're really serious about winning, that's the premier franchise in the NFL. He will come coach there. Pay him what he wants.
I don't even think he needs to be the highest paid. I think if you just like
make him a top five,
top 10, he'll come to the Cowboys through that.
I mean, that's realistically what the Cowboys absolutely should do. Will they do that? I don't know, but that is what they should do.
Yeah,
just go get Ben Johnson.
That's what they should. They should go get Ben Johnson. And I'm not saying here on the podcast that I think Ben Johnson is going to be a phenomenal head coach. I have no idea. Like I said, there are plenty of OCs who end up being terrible, but he has proven that at least it's not like a Kellen Moore deal where he was hot for 1 year and then just sucked.
Oh yeah,
he's been consistently good for multiple years as an OC. He
now that
Jared
offense,
Goff's career around, but you could say that offense
is loaded.
It's loaded. However, that offense got better and better and better before they were loaded, and now they're loaded, and now it's easy. But before
they were still good. But the thing about the Lions is for like the last 3 years, if I had like a really
offensive line.
You make an argument that the best offense.
This year, it's by far the best offensive
this year
line.
For sure. Like 2-3 years ago, they were probably top 5.
Yeah.
I would say the Eagles are better with Kelsey and all those guys still there. But I mean, and then you have Montgomery, you have Gibbs, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, you have Jamison Williams, Laporta. You can make an argument the best. I mean, on paper, like the best tight end in football when he's healthy. So I mean, they are loaded, and I don't know, but the Cowboys should just go get him. I mean, that's seems to be a no-brainer. Or, plot twist, they could go pay Mike Tomlin because Mike Tomlin's never had a losing record.
How dare you ever?
He's never had a losing record. I mean, the guy's a proven winner.
Mike McCarthy's won 12 games 3 years in a row with the Cowboys. He also sucks in the playoffs, and it's the same thing as Mike Tomlin. They're both bums. They both are bums.
Mike doesn't lose.
They both have won one Super Bowl, and they both have done nothing since that Super Bowl. Okay, and they both did it with like a Hall of Fame quarterback. And now, since they have bad quarterbacks or average quarterbacks, this is what happens. Anyway,
how dare you talk about Russell Wilson?
Last question.
Tussy Russie.
How about me getting 2 third-round picks from Will for Russell? Last question. Okay, for the Cowboys, and we'll move on. If you're the Cowboys and you have a top 5 to 10 pick, okay, what position group do you address?
Offensive line.
That's the first.
Their offensive line. Their offensive line. Yeah, needs
you have
a
to
lot.
do the,
their offensive line needs a lot of work.
Yep, I agree. Look at what the Chargers went and did with a top 10 pick. Got Joe. He's been.
I know that just sounds like nuts, but it's like if I were the Cowboys, I would just first, second, and third round just all offensive line.
I would too.
And then hope you hit on two of those, and you have two really good offensive linemen in 5 years that you're paying like nothing. I mean, that's how you build your team.
That's the best way.
And
to build
you have
a
top 5 receiver and a quarterback when he's playing well. Maybe
he was an MVP candidate last year when he's got protection and he's playing and he's not mentally out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we go to good, bad, and the ugly, or do we want to? We just kind of mentioned. We talked kind of we talked Lions just now. Do we want to talk Packers Lions? What?
We can go good, bad.
Okay, good, bad.
That game was just monsoon. Lions are better than the Packers.
Yes,
Lions
and Jordan Love is a joke.
Oh my gosh,
just a bum.
What a player.
Just a bum. What a bum. Okay,
Big Dog. The fact that Big Dog called him after 2 throws is just
and what happened to him?
Absolutely impressive.
Okay, I'll start with the good. We'll start with the good. And I'm going to go number 1. And how about this one?
How dare you take my number 1 good? I know who it's going to be.
I'm not going to. You don't know. I'm definitely not taking yours. There's no way this is. If this is yours, I'd be shocked. No, my number 1 is going to be the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young. Okay? Look, say what you want, but the Panthers did it, baby. We needed them to come through in Survivor League to knock 4 people out. And what did they do? They beat Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints at home. This is the first win this year with Bryce Young as the starter, right? Their only other win came with Andy Dalton as the starter.
Red Rifle.
Look, I'm not saying Bryce Young is great by any means, right, or even good. He's been very average. He's been very bad to start his career. But the reality is here, he is in the worst organization in sports with quite possibly the worst tactical owner in the history of sports behind maybe Jerry Jones.
A lot of people think it's the worst roster in the NFL in like 10 years.
It is. It's horrific. And so last year wasn't much better in his rookie year. So it's very hard to tell what they are, what he is. He has no O-line. He has no wide receivers. They have no defense. There's nothing to help him. He got benched earlier this year. He comes back again. He plays okay last week against the Broncos. And he comes out, and look, if you look at his numbers, they're not great. 16 of 25, 175 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. However, if you watch the game, the interception he threw was an absolute dime to Xavier Legette.
I saw it. Yeah.
And he dropped the ball into the defender's hand. So it was like, if that pass is completed, which it was a great throw. He would have been at 210 yards, 1 touchdown, no pick, and completed, I think it was like 60% of his passes. There was a second play that I don't know the guy's first name because I don't know who he is. His last name is Moore. Bryce Young, without a doubt, dropped a dime of a 40-yard touchdown in his hands, and he just straight dropped it. So there are 2 plays where literally he could have gone from 16 of 25 to 18 of 25, from 175 yards to 260 yards if those 2 balls are caught, 2 touchdowns, no picks. It could have been a very good stat line, and it's just he has no help, no wide receiver. So Xavier Legette's country ass drops the ball.
Please,
great
player.
And Bryce Young played well. I'm proud of Bryce. I'm proud of the Panthers. Thanks for getting it done for us in the Survivor League and knocking 4 people out. That's good number 1.
My number 1. Just want to make sure I get his stats up here. I know they were terrific. Cool Joe Burrow. Bengals are back, baby. 5 touchdowns. The 1 interception he did throw was actually hysterical. It was like the guy must have watched film or seen the play before because they ran this like quick screen. And it was like, he literally, Joe hit him right in the hands. He walked into the end zone the other way. But Joe Burrow, only 250 yards passing, but 5 touchdowns. Bengals obviously beat up on a really shitty Raiders team. So, oh man, Desmond Ridder got to come in. Looking at the box score here, look at this.
For the Bengals?
No, Ridder's a Raider these days.
I forgot he's
bro.
a Raider. You could have told me he was a fucking UFL Thundercat.
11. I'm surprised
for your niece's team, and I would have believed you.
First of all, the Thundercats would never add a worthless talent like Desmond Ridder. Okay, they're champions. 11 for 16, 74 yards and a touchdown. That's better than old Garner. Better numbers than Garner. But yeah, Joe Burrow,
2 quarterbacks in our league in my tank. So
Bengals are now 4-5. Man,
what's their schedule look like here?
That's what I'm looking. Ravens, Chargers, Steelers. But then they get some help with the Cowboys, Titans, and Browns.
And
yeah,
Broncos.
I don't know. They could sneak in as that last wild card.
If they have to, I think because of how they played at the beginning of the year, they need to go, and this is going to be tough, but they need to go 2-1 in their next 3. If they go 2-1 in their next 3, what does that put them at? 6-6, right?
Yeah.
And then they would have to go. Then they win their next 3 against the Cowboys, Titans, Browns. That puts them 9-6, and you got to win 1 of the last 2 to get in. That's legitimately possible. Look, this is what the Bengals do, and I don't think that they are good, and I don't think that Zach Taylor deserves to keep his job, nor does Lou Anarumo. I still believe that both of them had pictures of the owner with the dead body, and I think that's why they've kept their job this long.
The owner just doesn't have any money, but
no, it's more than likely the dead body. But just don't ruin my fantasies here. Yeah. Yes. Anyway, I just, to me, this is what the Bengals do every year.
Every year,
they
start
probably
slow,
will get in the
come
playoffs.
back,
Yeah.
squeak into the playoffs.
Okay. Now my second good is going to be, man, that's just hard here because there was a bunch of stuff that I wrote down. Okay, let's go with the Rams. Okay, 13-3, they were down at halftime. Puka Nacua gets ejected in the second quarter for throwing a punch. I didn't even see it, but apparently he literally threw a punch. They come back, tie the game at 13 in the second half. Fourth quarter, 10 minutes to go. Seahawks have a 1st and goal at the Rams 6 to. It looks like the Seahawks are going to take the lead, and if the Seahawks win, I believe my dad would have won the pick'em. Instead, I think either we tied or I won it. And not so fast, my friend, Seattle, because Cameron Kitchens picks off Geno Smith, returns it 103 yards for a touchdown to give the Rams the lead. The defense actually picked Geno off 3 times, twice in the end zone, including the return for a touchdown. However, the game gets into overtime. Right? Because Geno finally leads a drive at the end and finds Jackson Smith and Jigba in the end zone. They tie the game, goes to overtime. Seattle drives right down the field. Touchdown wins the game. They won the coin toss. 4th down and 1 at the 15-yard line. And you look over and they don't know whether to go for it. And Mike McDonald, the new head coach, you could just see the absolute, just complete lack of confidence in his eyes going. He didn't know whether they should go for it or not. And he was looking at the time and he didn't know what to do. and they just tried running it up the middle, and the Rams stuffed him for a 1-yard loss. And then Matthew Stafford, who had been below average all day, he'd been okay. He was better in the second half.
He's a winner.
He's a winner, man. And he takes the Rams down the damn field in 5 plays, and it's just play action after play action. And the last play on the 39-yard line, I was commentating it. I sent it to Turner. I'll put it on the damn screen. He rolls out to his left on the play action. He fires a bomb 39 yards down the line to Demarcus Robinson. One-hand touchdown catch. Rams walk it off. They've won 3 in a row. Don't look now, but the Rams are back in the mix. They are tied in the loss column for first place in the NFC West. And the Rams are right there with the 49ers, the Cardinals. They're in the mix, baby. The Rams are looking good.
They got healthier quicker than I thought. They have a legitimate chance to definitely get into the playoffs and win a game. They look pretty good.
You know, another good, you want to go bad?
My other good, real quick, was just the Ravens offense. I mean,
awesome.
41 points, beat the hell out of the Broncos. Lamar looks good. Like you said, could go back-to-back pretty easily, winning MVP. I hope they give it to Josh Allen this year if Josh Allen keeps it up, but we will see there. My first bad, and I hate to do this, is my boy Jameis Winston. You know,
I reached out to him on Instagram. I'm trying to get him to come on the show here.
That would be awesome. And I love you, Jameis, but you were pretty bad this week. 26-46, 235, 1 touchdown, 3 picks, took 6 sacks. My buddy, who's a big Ohio State fan and a Browns fan, said something about me sucking off his brownies, laughing on the show, and he goes, Jameis Winston's a train wreck. And I said, yeah, but he's a beautiful train wreck. And he's a leader of men. He liked that comment. But yeah, so this is, the Jameis we all know and love.
Hey, you get one.
I love where he's like,
bad.
people keep talking to me about that season with the Bucs where I threw all those picks. I couldn't see. I thought Bruce Arians was black. That's my all-time favorite. Bruce Arians was talking about on the podcast. He goes, I think it's pretty cool that James thought I was black for a whole season. That's awesome.
He's like, I thought Bruce was black till 2015.
I honestly I could honestly believe Jameis Winston thinking that.
Dude, that is so funny. He's like, I hadn't had LASIK surgery yet. Oh, my God.
And Bruce was always, he just spent a lot of time in the sun, so he had that beard and the glasses, and I was like, yeah, I could see if you couldn't see very well. You think Bruce is black.
My first bad is going to be C.J. Stroud. 11. He was your bad last week. Or 2 weeks ago, sorry. 11 for 30. 11 for 30 for 191 yards and no touchdowns. QBR of 27 in a loss to the Jets. It was ugly. Now, I will give him this. Their offensive line has looked really bad the last couple weeks. He has not had time to throw, and that is fair, okay? But you have to he deserves some blame because we gave him so much praise last year and deserved praise. He was awesome last year. But look, in the last 3 games, he has completed 52% of his passes, 1 touchdown in those 3 games, and a QBR on average of 35.9, okay? He's been sacked 14 times in those 3 games, which a lot of isn't his fault, but some of it is him holding on to the ball too long. Like we talked about it. We were watching the game a couple times, and it's like, what are you doing? He's thrown a lot of interceptable balls that he got away with in those games as well. They're 1-2 in those 3 games after a 5-1 start. And in 2 of those 3, he completed under 50% of his passes. Look, I get it. You lost Nico Collins, but you didn't lose Stephon Diggs until this most recent game, right? Like this was his first game out. And you still had Stephon Diggs, who was a glorified top 10 receiver for a long time in the league, and still probably a top 15 to 20 receiver when he came over. You still have Tank Dell, you still have Dalton Schultz. You have plenty of guys to where, I get it, there's going to be some drop-off. It shouldn't drop off this much. It should not be this bad, okay? And C.J. Stroud was awesome. He's obviously in a sophomore slump. The Texans have good coaching. Their defense is pretty solid. They have Joe Mixon, who's been really good, so they're going to be okay. But I will say, if the Texans want to be what people thought they could be this year, which is a contender to win a Super Bowl or compete for a title, the only way they're going to do that is if C.J. Stroud turns this around. He has not looked good in the last couple weeks.
I was just going to go straight into the ugly, but
go ahead.
You got? Caleb Williams and the Bears.
Let's go, baby.
22 of 41, 217 yards, and they lost 29-9 to Kyler Murray, who was 13 of 20 for only 154 yards. The Cardinals ran it all over them. The Bears' run defense, not so good. So
217 yards rushing, 7 yards per carry for the Cardinals.
Yeah. Smoked them. And now you got a big decision on your hands for y'all Survivor League next week. What y'all are going to do?
I don't know what.
Going to go with the Bears or going to go with the...
We were talking about it. The only two we can go with. We're in the final 17. Shot to win $15,000 here. And the only two really, I think, realistic options looking at the slate, because we don't have the Bills left. We don't have the Ravens. We don't have, we've used the Lions. The only realistic, teams we can take, and I haven't even looked at the lines yet. The Vikings on the road at Jacksonville. Beat up Jacksonville, who's lost a lot in a row, but you're on the road. Sam Darnold did not look good last night against a very subpar Colts defense. The Vikings defense looked good. And then the other option would be the Bears at home. Now, the Bears are 4-0 at home this year, and they're 0-4 on the road. But, from what I've seen from Caleb Williams the last couple weeks, it's really hard for me to be like, yeah, I'm going to back Caleb Williams here. Not to mention, I feel like that locker room's in shambles. I heard
that's what it looked like too. They were like DJ Moore doesn't like him and all kinds of shit.
And apparently, in the press conference, Caleb Williams came out and kind of called out Matt Eberflus and the owner and the managers. Yeah,
he's always going to be a problem,
dude. That's the problem with this guy. Is when things are going bad, it's everybody else's fault. It's not that you're bottom 3 in the league in QBR or can't throw a touchdown in 3 games. It's everybody else's fault. Look, the reality is you were horrible in the last 2 games, and y'all deserve to lose.
Who do they play again?
They play the Patriots at home next week. It's just a hard one because Drake May's a coin flip. He plays really good, but he turns the ball over. It's just, you just don't know. It's going to be a really tough decision for us. Nick said he doesn't want to put his faith in Caleb Williams' hands, and I understand that 100%. I was
looking at it for y'all.
50-50.
I was looking at it for y'all. The issue with it is if you do take the Bears, then you get the Vikings against who the next week? It's someone.
The Titans.
Yeah, and then I looked at it. If you take the Vikings, then the next week there's
nobody to take.
All coin toss games, every single one of them. But at this point, it's all about surviving to the next week.
Because we could legitimately get to the top 10, which is the money, if we win this week. Yeah. So that's the problem. Yeah. But I'm looking at week 11.
I have a feeling though that if y'all do take, and we won't talk too much about this, but if you do take the Bears and they do lose, there's going to be 7 or 8 people on the Bears anyway. I think you would get into the money.
Probably so.
Because I don't know who else people would be on
Vikings,
this week.
Bears are the two.
Yeah.
The only other one we could use, I didn't even see that. Oh, no. Sorry. The only one we could use, and I wouldn't do this, but if we were to use the Vikings this week, would be the Dolphins at home against the Raiders. We could go them, or the Rams at the Patriots.
Not a bad one.
There's a couple.
You haven't used the Rams?
We haven't used the Rams. There's a couple we could use.
Yeah, so then maybe,
y'all
have a
not saying
tough decision.
Texans at the Cowboys. We haven't used the Texans either. So
I want to do that.
If Dak Prescott, let's say Dak Prescott is out that game, then that could legitimately be a spot. Anyway, we'll move on. The only other, let's see. You said
one more ugly.
Yeah, I'll do one ugly here. Give me Trevor Lovett, Lawrence, and Doug Peterson, because we want to talk about how they came back in the game. I'll tell you. Okay, so they were down
with a never die attitude.
The never die attitude. They were down 22-0. Cut it to 22-16. Okay, had the ball, chance to drive. The Eagles decided to go for a 4th and 5 when they could have just kicked a field goal on the 20-yard line and taken a lead. I don't know if Jake Elliott got hurt yesterday. It was weird. They kept going for 2 when it didn't make sense. And now that I think about that, that didn't make any sense to go for that there. Anyway,
apparently they kicked I thought at the very end, because I saw some guy lose his mind. He needed the Eagles covering 7 to cap off his parlay, and Elliott missed a 57-yarder to give the Jags the ball back, I think.
You're right. So he wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
That's how the Jags got the and they should have. And they should have won. You're right. So he misses that 57-yarder, right? They're down. At this point, they're down by 5. So a touchdown wins the game. Trevor actually gets them all the way down to the 14-yard line. 14-yard line, a minute 43 to go. And here's how ridiculously stupid, and this is why the Jags are the ugly here, okay? The Eagles have 2 timeouts. You're on the 14-yard line, okay? If you score there, almost certainly, the way this game has gone and the way your defense has looked this year, the Eagles are going to be able to go down and get in field goal range, right? I'm not saying you don't take an open touchdown, but you shouldn't be attempting to, take shots to the end zone on 1st and 10, in my opinion. In my opinion, you run the ball, you run a screen on 1st down.
Yeah.
You make them use a timeout. You're trying to make this the last drive of the game, right? Because you lose if you don't score anyway. So it makes no sense to be trying to score with time left. And what do? On 1st and 10 from the 14-yard line, they take a shot to the end zone, and Trevor Lawrence throws a horrific pass that has no chance to be even touched by the receiver.
Must have been a miscommunication.
And straight to the defender. Interception on 1st down. Game over. They showed Doug Peterson. Obviously, the Jags have told him he gets to coach the rest of the year out because he's won a Super Bowl and he's a Super Bowl champion
and author.
And so That's the reason he's
Leader
keeping his
of
job.
men.
Leader of men. But the reality is they're a dumpster fire, and they're going to continue to lose.
Might be the only guy that could turn Danny. Oh, by the way, shout out Danny Dimes. Didn't turn it over and threw his first touchdown at home in like 600 days.
They almost – did he really?
Yeah. They hadn't done a
600 days?
It was something nuts.
They actually almost won that game. They didn't. Their defense was terrible, but they were in the game the whole way. They scored late. The funniest thing, I was going to say Dayball.
Steven calls him Danny Nichols. Comments.
It's funny. I was going to say that I was going to put Dayball in the ugly because once again, for the second straight week, they were down 14. And with like 10 minutes to go or 9 minutes to go in the game, they scored to cut it to a 1-touchdown game.
Yeah.
And he goes for 2. And the logic behind it is understandable. A lot of coaches do that, right? Because the idea is I'm going to go for 2 here. If I get it, then when we score the second time, we win with an extra point. If I don't get it, it's a 53% chance on 2-point conversions in theory, so we should be able to get the second one and tie the game. The problem is you don't factor in that you are 0 for 7 on 2-point conversions.
The play he ran last week was hilarious, like with the swinging gate deal, and then the lineman didn't move, and he just got smoked. And I was like, that was the play?
Turn me up,
Bark, bark, yeah, big dog's coming. Shut your mouth, don't get him started. Got the hot takes, ain't wrong about nothing. It's big dog, it's big dog. Straight from LA, just sold the studio. Louis on the way back to San Antonio. Teach a special.
I am back for the regular podcast this week. On the fly. Can you see my acting? Can you believe it? In Hollywood, I used to go for it. And I am back for the
mic. Yeah.
I am back for the regular podcast this week. Not about a rant, just about my takes. And then you all can use my picks because I won last week.
You did not win.
Yes, I did. That's 2 weeks in a row.
Also, shout out Big Dog, always taking care of the little people. Gave us lunch money last week.
Oh, that's right. I got
that was special.
I gave it back. I threw
that
it
was
back.
special.
Yeah, I'm going to send.
Oh, not me. I went straight to. I don't know where I went. I said, "Look, lunch on Big Dog. What a man."
I'll send you some
Did you
money
tell him
afterwards.
to pay half cash, half
Okay, now
credit?
let's get on to.
Yeah, because it was only 10.
All right, so I'm now back on the show, which means that I'm going to introduce some really fucked up characters coming up. I got some puppets coming out.
I'll spit out my drink when he said that. Some real fucked up characters.
Yeah, I got some puppets coming out. And Julie asked me, why are there puppets in your Amazon cart? I said, it's none of your fucking business. And she was like, okay, that's just unreal. I go, it's none of your fucking business why I have puppets in my cart. I got to get Alex to work the hands on the puppets. Because when I walk up, I do the little tug, and the puppets got to do the same. Anyway, here's
what's off limits. If you said
well, also I do have a pick with the person. I do have one pick coming up, and I have a photo of me where I've been working out. I've been working out.
You look great.
And I'm going to send a naked photo of me coming up soon.
Okay. Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Whoa.
But I will say is
we are going to have a naked photo. I'm taking it.
I was on the record.
I'm going to have that girl you have coming on take the photo.
Talk, or do you have to talk the whole time?
I'm going to go on the record and say that I've seen rumblings, and it's been confirmed that I said that chick from wherever she's from had a cock that was fighting in the Olympics. Confirmed XY chromosome, inverted testicles, and a micro penis.
Who confirmed that?
It's online. It has to be true.
Wow. Wow.
On Twitter. So
on Twitter.
So really, so he freaks out.
Ball check.
No,
if
right.
You would have been there for your ball check. We could have had a fair Olympics.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He doesn't let me. He beeps out the glove thing where I'm putting the gloves to fill the balls. And look what he just said.
He said talking about a real point, a real topic.
That's not a real topic. It's on the internet.
It is.
It's not a real topic.
No, it was that man that was beating
We're
the shit
talking
out of
about the boxing.
I know.
lady,
But what I'm
not
saying,
checking gloves to reach under and see if WNBA players have balls.
Well,
There's
see, now that's you bleeped out balls, and now you're saying.
No, I just cut your whole segment because it was inappropriate.
No, it's not. Look, and now it's becoming. My segment was ahead of its time. When you think about it,
It was.
Me putting the gloves on a year ago was fucking ahead of its time. So all I can say is I am like
I'm
that.
start
though.
calling you doctor.
It is the doctor. I'm not joking. But let me just say this real quick.
Yep.
Let's say it this way.
Yep.
Okay, Dallas is done. Number one, Jerry's finally getting heat. Dak's out. They just reported he's out for 4 or 5 weeks.
Yep.
Well, you knew that?
Yeah, he just saw it. Yeah, he reported. Yeah.
So that means Cooper Rush, because of course we have Cooper Rush, a $2 million piece of shit quarterback, and Trey Lance.
Trey's your boy, though. He
I love
plays
Trey.
hard.
I love Trey. But anyway, Dallas is done. So now it's to get Shador. Now we got to figure out a way to get Shedeur. But what they'll probably end up having to do is trade their picks down to get multiple picks because they can't take the running back from Boise.
That's who we probably will take.
No, you can't.
Why
because
not?
we're going to be the 7th pick.
No, he's not projected to go until like 14.
Well,
Nobody takes a running back.
but what I'm
Even
saying,
Bijan went like 7.
I
That
know,
was like super high for running back.
But are you going to use the 7th pick on a running back?
No, you're not. But they will. But I'm saying Dallas will.
Well,
Jerry won't do that.
I don't know if I agree with that. Number
Turner
2
was right. We should take offensive linemen
for
That's what
3
we need to
straight
do.
rounds.
Yeah.
Just build the offensive line out.
Oh, I agree. That's my main thing. Offensive, but he won't do that. Jerry won't do that.
Good. No.
He's done. They really are. No, this is a defining moment in Dallas Cowboys history. For the first time, every single sports guy is saying Jerry made grave decisions and that their destiny looks the same way. So for right now, bringing in Bill Belichick can't pick a fucking player off a draft if it hit him in the head. He's the worst. Colin broke down his picks are so bad, and so it won't be him.
According to the commercial, he's really good on Underdog Sports, though. Have you seen that commercial?
Who?
Bill Belichick. He gives his picks on Underdog Sports.
So it's Vrabel or Belichick for experience. None of those. No, I mean, that's not turning this franchise around. So I'm done with the Cowboys, even though that's your number one topic, and everyone has to cover them 3 times on their segments on TV.
That's all you have? That's all you're going to say?
No, yeah, because you know why? I want to get on my picks because I'm 2-0 the last 2 weeks.
You didn't win either of the last 2 weeks.
2-0.
He's unbelievable. Unbelievable picks.
Fire.
Yep.
You're
I'm
actually
not even aware of this today.
So that's your only pick? That's your only rant there?
Yeah, and then balls with girls. I balls with girls will always be there because I'm the one that I was the original guy that put on the gloves that said they need to be examined prior to the Caitlin Clark, all this shit. She was still in college when I said that. Okay.
So
Actually,
you might want to clarify who you said that about.
The coach of Iowa State first.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that's how it all started.
Yeah, that's all started. I saw that guy, and I decided that is damn.
But you were ahead of your time. If you
I was college basketball.
If you were at the Olympics, you could have stopped this.
I would have. It was just simple ball check, just like you got to. When you go from country to country, you got to get checked. Okay,
I agree.
And when you go to jail, they do a lot of things. They check a lot of your private parts. Okay, there's no reason, and I've been in fucking jail.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I have.
Terrell Hills lockup.
Lockup twice in Terrell Hills, 1 downtown juvie.
I was joking. He's serious. That's
2 lockups, Terrell Hills, 1 lockup SAPD when I was 17
Terrell Hills
for
when
a
he was
fight.
17 in 1975.
No, for a fight. I got thrown in jail downtown.
Sure you did.
And he won the fight for people wondering.
Bombay Bicycle Club, yeah.
Bombay
They jumped us from behind and they beat the shit out of us the first time, and then we went back and beat the fuck out of them. So we got hit from behind the first time. So anyway, and then when we went back, the cops were there. So anyway, that just shows you I've done time.
Yeah.
Not in that cushy little fucking
Hard
prison where Martha Stewart did her time. I'm talking about the real fucking deal. That in La Mexico.
He loves saying that line because it's from David Letterman. He thinks it's so funny. It's
La
not
Mexico.
funny.
Okay? Let me tell you something. When
no preparation for the show.
This show
0
is boring as fuck without me.
Okay.
And I think if you ask that audience out there,
Big Dog Army's going to be full blown in the comments.
and
all
if
his
you
Chinese
ask
bots, yeah,
all you have to ask is
they're going to be numbered like they were that 1 week.
We are kicking fucking. We're on the AP press poll. There's been 14 articles in the last 3 weeks on us. Are you fucking crazy?
Nobody knows who we is.
Yeah, the band. We have 14 articles. Let me finish.
Here.
We're on Hulu, Amazon, every fucking network across the world. Our videos are in Foot Lockers right now, all across the
Cassettes
malls.
are selling for
let me
what,
fit. Let me.
3,000?
No, I'm going to finish. Oh, I'm going to finish.
3,000.
Let me finish because, and I want to shout out to Andy. I want to shout out to Andy and his promotion team in New York.
We love you, Andy.
Fucking out of Jersey, a fucking veteran. And I want to tell you one thing.
Wow.
And I'm going to bring a list on where he got it.
Stint numb?
No, well, you know, I'm going to talk to
Really?
Andy. I want to talk to Andy.
What?
Really?
All right. So I say this you're doing the college show next?
His real name is Bull, and he's in India. That's his actual research team who does his promotion.
Go look up Andy.
Bull and
that played
Bukad. Bull and Bukad.
Hey,
Those are his promotions.
look up
I like
Andy
those guys.
Greisner. Look up Andy hip video and look and see how big they
Big
are.
Dog is the man.
Hip video. Looking big. See how big up there.
We got to
Doctor
finish our show.
Doctor
Go.
Big Dog. Doctor Big Dog. Love you, big dog.
Your show needs me doing wild shit. This show needs some fucking entertainment.
All right, we're gonna do one more quick segment before we get to college football. By the way, we got some college basketball going on right now. It tipped off today, baby. Texas, Ohio State tonight. This is the best time of the year. We got college basketball starting.
Best time of the year
college
for sports.
football, the meat of the last season. The college football rankings come out on Tuesday. We got the NFL kind of middle of the season. God, it's a beautiful time. Just sports going every day. NBA is getting off. Not that I like NBA. The only thing that would be better is if we had WNBA going on right now. But, I digress. Okay, this segment is called You Fired. Okay? And it's basically going to be, I'm going to give you a head coach's name from the NFL. And you're going to tell me, okay, are they fired before the season ends? Do they make it to the end of the season and then get fired? Or are they not fired at all? Okay, they keep their job. Let's start with Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy. Is Mike McCarthy going to make it to the end of the season? Is he going to get fired? Is he going to stay after the season?
I don't know if Jerry has his fastball where he just like fires guy, and like I think he likes Mike McCarthy. I'm going to say he makes it to the end of the season. He's obviously not coming back, but I'm going to say he's going to make it.
Okay, so Uncle T says Mike McCarthy is going to make it to the end of the
especially
season.
now being like 4 games by. Anyway, the season to me, I know they could sneak into the wild card, perhaps, whatever, but I don't think so. I think Jerry's going to let him finish season out.
Mike McCarthy, you're an incompetent fuck. Okay, you suck at your job. Your play sheet is a Waffle House menu, and for that reason, you will make it to the end of the season, but you're fired.
Yeah, he's for sure. He
All right.
is not getting.
My second one is just a bit of a spoiler here. It was going to be Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen was fired earlier today. So Dennis Allen, you look like a member of the Backstreet Boys that's old and depressed and started drinking heavily and snorting cocaine. You pick Spencer Rattler as your backup quarterback, and for that, you got fired today. Okay. Number 3, Zach Taylor. Will Zach Taylor be fired on the spot? Will he make it to the end of the year and get fired, or will he survive and renew it? They will keep him for the next year.
Does he have any time left on his contract?
I believe he still has a year or two.
Yeah, because that owner's a cheap fuck. So yeah, he's gonna keep his job.
Okay, Zach Taylor. You have cell phone video of the Bengals owner disposing of a dead body, and because of that, you are not fired. You get to keep your job. Okay,
keep your job.
Keep your job. Number 4.
Yep.
Doug Peterson, Super Bowl champion and author.
I think they're gonna fire him. I don't think he makes it.
You don't think he makes it?
Yeah, I don't think he makes it. They may give him respect, and it seems like they're doing that now. And but I think he gets canned. I think Dougie, he's definitely not coaching him next year. So, but yeah, I'm going to say he gets fired.
Okay, Doug Peterson, you're a Super Bowl champion and author. You're a legend in the Philadelphia community, a husband, a father, a son, a respected member of the community. You chew the shit out of that gum on the sidelines. You always have beautiful, great breath, but now he's been nervous lately because of the firing, hot seat rumors, and so that gum has turned to nicotine gum. He chews it to a powder on the sideline.
It could be nicotine.
It is, and for all those reasons right there, Doug Peterson, you fired. Okay, number 5, last one, Mike McDaniel. Dolphins head
he's
coach.
Not going to get fired.
Making it to the end of the year, not getting fired?
I think he'll be back next year, too.
Back next year? Okay. Mike McDaniel, you're not a head coach. You're just calling plays like you're playing Madden in your mom's fucking basement. You're hitting your jewel on the sideline, and nobody respects you as a coach. However, you did make Tua look half decent last year, and because of that, you're not fired. All right, and that is
congrats, Mike.
You're fired. All right, okay. On. I was gonna do fake news or fake news, but I don't have any news or fake news. I fell asleep doing that last night, so we're gonna skip that.
That's okay.
And we're gonna go to the college football. Let's talk college football.
Obviously we need to recap it, but for the people at home, don't get too excited. Maction starts tomorrow night, baby.
Oh, baby.
Lights, camera, Maction.
Let's go.
The real Tuesday night specials.
By the way, if you missed it, game of the week in the MAC. Eastern Michigan, Toledo. Michigan.
I definitely missed it.
9.5-point dogs, down by 7 with 1 second left from their own from the opponent 40-yard line. Hail Mary, caught in the end zone, touchdown, and they go for 2, baby, and do not get it, and they lose by 1. But it was an electric finish. Game of the week. Exciting game. Okay. What are we going to recap first? Do we want to go to Ohio State, Penn State here? Is that the first thing we want to jump into?
Yeah, probably.
So Ohio State, Penn State was the early game. It was the game of the week. I didn't watch game day. Was it in Happy Valley? I would assume it was. So
Game day this week. I'm trying to think where they
it had to
were.
have been.
Yeah,
there,
it was.
right?
Yeah, it was. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it was.
Okay, so it was number 4
Because that's
Ohio
where
State.
Kelsey spiked that guy's phone. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, that's right. Yes. It was Ohio State at Penn State. Okay, James Franklin. I forget the exact set. I think he's
1-14
in
now,
14 against team AP.
And
top
by the
5
way,
teams.
before we get into this, James Franklin is a classic fake tough guy. He probably annoys me more than anybody else in college fucking football. I used to not have that big of a problem with him, but then earlier this week, I don't know if you heard this, 2 players were, I guess, removed from the team due to rape allegations, and people were trying to ask questions about him. I get that he didn't want to answer them, but instead of going up there and reading what the university did, he had his little minion go up there and read it, and then the first question was that, and he would step away from the podium, and the guy would come up and read it again. He would step back, and he kept doing it over and over. And at the end of the game, this game, there were these 2 guys just letting him have it while he was walking off the field. And then he wants to get in an altercation with them. He's like, "Oh, what's your name, tough guy?" Whatever. And the guy, "I'm not telling you my name," and walked off. And he's like, "Oh, it's so tough now." It's like, because he's the kind of guy that would get you removed from school because you're talking shit to him. It's like, you suck, dude. You beat no one ever that's better than you ever. 1-13, and those are, and maybe the one win that he did have, they may have been favorites in the game. I have no idea. But it's the guy loses every big game, no matter what. Now, here's the thing, though. Ohio State's a better team than Penn State. So the one thing I will give him a little grace on is a lot of those games that they play, Penn State is close to as good, but they're not as good as a football team. But you got to be able to win more than 1 out of freaking 13.
But not all of those games were they the worst team. There were games, they were either,
sure,
especially with Ohio State back when they had Saquon and Trace McSorley, right? There were years where they were either as good or even better a couple years.
Slight favorites, yeah.
Right. And they were, so he, like you said, he's 1-13 against the top 5, AP top 5. He is 3-18 against the top 10. Just against top 25 teams. And that negates the idea that he's playing better teams than them because they're always top 15, top 10, right? He's 13-27 against AP top 10 top 25 teams.
Yeah.
And against Ohio State, 1-10. And they've lost 3 times in those games. They've led by double digits and still lost. So it's just
they started this game up 10-0. It's a perfect start. Still couldn't win.
Pick 6 up 10-0 and couldn't win. And then you have the whole deal where wait, real quick. Is he an offensive guy or not that he calls the plays or anything, but is he an OC?
I actually don't know. Bailey will.
Bailey, do you know? Okay, but
no, I know.
But when he came up, okay, yeah. He's an offensive guy, but he's never calls the plays,
and that's the reason Penn State hasn't gotten rid of him because he is a good recruiter. That's the only reason they haven't gotten rid of him.
However, you are at a point right now where it does recruiting. Does a coach recruiting matter that much with all the money and all the stuff? That's all anybody cares about anymore.
I mean, I think it matters some, but yes, you're right. You're right. It matters. It matters way less at this point.
It matters way less. Just to me, I don't get why you would keep James Franklin at this point. It's just becoming ridiculous. Look, they said this, and I don't agree with it because in today's day and age, especially Penn State, right? Penn State, the way they play, I believe if you look at it, over the last 10 years, 8 of those 10 years, they would have finished in the top 11. And then they would have been in the college football playoff with a 12-team playoff, right? So point being, they're going to be in the playoff
a lot
every year, right? A lot of the years. So it's hard to fire a guy knowing that. However, it also is frustrating when you have played. You used to have Joe Paterno, and you were used to competing for national titles back when it was really hard to win them because you had to be one of the top 2 teams. And it was the BCS and all that bullshit. And at that point, now you're expecting that level of success. It's not going to happen with James Franklin. You're never winning a title with him. Have they even ever won the Big Ten under James Franklin? I don't think they have. Maybe one time. Maybe once. I remember them losing a lot in the Big Ten championship game. Anyway, then you look on the other side. Ryan Day's been just as bad against top teams, and I think it's funny because the only team that he beats that's ever good is Penn State because it's James Franklin. If you remove Ryan Day's wins against Penn State, I don't know if he's beaten a top 10, top 5 team. This is a fraudulent top 5 win for him, and he won't get a lot of heat, now because he won this game. But look, the reality is this is meaningless. Ryan Day still loses all the big games, all to good teams. That game, if you look at the talent disparity between those two teams, Ohio State's a significantly better team.
Oh, for sure.
Not even close. They've paid $30 million to their players, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous that game was close. So that's just my problem with it, and I don't think that Ohio State is a legitimate title contender, although I don't believe that anybody's that good this year, so I don't know.
I think, man, yeah, it's just a tough call. I have no idea how much is left on Franklin's contract. I'm sure they extended him and whatever when other vacancies came out. So I assume they're not going to pay that. If I were them, and it's like, trying to turn Penn State into just a program where I would go get Kurt Signetti from Indiana, and he'd probably win a national title.
He's unbelievable, man.
Yeah. I mean,
again this week.
he would he's going to get Indiana in the playoffs more than likely if they only lose one game, I think. Maybe not. Who knows?
No. I think you're right.
I think one loss they're in.
So here's the thing: if they lose to, they lose to Ohio State, which I believe is this week or next week,
and that's our only. They should beat Michigan this week.
Yeah,
they lose.
Michigan
Say they lose to Ohio State, they're going to beat Purdue the last game of the year. So I think they get in.
Now here's the thing: who goes? I believe it will be. Okay, so if they, and that's the thing, here's the thing. If they lose to Ohio State and win against Michigan and Purdue, they will finish the year 11-1, and they will not go to the Big Ten championship game, assuming Ohio State doesn't lose another game, which they won't, because I don't know, who does Ohio State have left? It's nobody good. They've got, let's see, they have, Purdue, Northwestern, Indiana, and Michigan. So assuming they don't lose at home to Michigan in the last game, which is very unlikely given what Michigan looks like this year, Ohio State will play Oregon in a rematch in the Big Ten championship game. Indiana will finish 11-1 and will not have to play in the Big Ten championship game, which is weirdly probably a good thing for them. And they will end up in the playoff almost 100%. Now, they'll be almost 100%. They'll be a road playoff team. They'll be having to play in somebody else's home. They'll be 9, 10, 11 right in there. But they're going to make the playoff at 11-1. Unless something weird happens, especially with what's been happening. Like Iowa State lost this week, and here's the thing: if BYU loses once at all, the Big 12 has no shot of getting more than one team in now. No shot. I think actually now that Iowa State lost, there is no shot. But I think for sure if BYU loses, they will only get one. ACC, Clemson lost the second time. They're probably not getting in. So now, really, your only shot to get two teams in for the ACC. Actually, this might be a good way to transition is kind of looking at the conferences. SMU wins out. They're in the ACC championship game, and they will play Miami, and they would get in. Here's a good question. SMU wins out, gets to the ACC title game, loses to Miami. They have two losses. Do they get in?
One's to BYU, one's to Miami. It just depends. This is the thing, and I wish the committee would come out and say yes or no, and we could get an answer on it. If you get, in my opinion, you should not be penalized ever for losing a conference championship game. So I think the committee should actually come out and get ahead of it and say, hey, listen, if you do make it to your conference championship game and you do lose, we are not going to use that as against you as another loss.
Yep.
Because it's not fair that you're playing maybe a top 5 team in the country, whatever Miami's going to be, a top 10 team at least, and losing there and then getting left out. So it just depends what they end up doing. I don't know what the committee is going to do when it comes to that kind of stuff, but I don't think you should get screwed for playing in a conference championship game.
I agree with you 100%. I think it's interesting. I'm just looking at these rankings, and I want to kind of go back to some recap, and maybe we just discuss for like a few minutes, because if you're new to the channel, like I already said, like and subscribe, but we have a new show we're going to do, or maybe a little new segment type show on Wednesday. We have a special guest coming on, so make sure to check that out. We'll post it on there hopefully Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Hopefully that's going to be a recurring guest, but either way, it should be a really fun segment. It's going to be all college football. Anyway, back to the rankings. I'm looking at it. There's big disparities in a lot of these coaches' rankings once you hit the top 10. It's interesting. Like Indiana is 8th in the AP. They're 10th in the coaches poll. You look at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is 16th. They're behind A&M, LSU, SMU, all in the AP. They're number 11 in the coaches poll. So What
is A&M coaches poll?
A&M is 16.
AP, they're 15.
They're 16 in coaches poll. And I think, honestly, I'm looking at them, that's probably where they belong. There's nobody below them I would say is better.
Yeah.
And there's nobody above them I would say is worse. I would say maybe the only argument for a team you could put above them, well, Ole Miss is better, I think, for sure. So in the AP.
I think so,
but
too.
I would say you could make an argument for Clemson maybe, but they looked horrible this weekend, so I don't know. What do you want to do? We need to recap some of these other games here. We had Florida, Georgia. Georgia almost went down.
Yeah, just the quarterback getting hurt for Florida obviously killed him.
They were
or whatever.
up when he got hurt. They were winning.
Yeah, and they were kind of just burning through the clock. Carson Beck was horrible again.
Carson Beck threw another 3 interceptions.
Horrible. He looked. I know you always think like there's some guys that, and I'm not defending him because I'm on the record saying he's not very good. I do not think he'll be a good pro, but something was going on. He just looked. He's playing in his home city and hometown, and just looked like he was just out of it playing in the game. I don't know if he was sick, what was going on, and not making excuses for him. He's been bad in other games, but. It was weird. Just like the look in his eyes looked like he just did not give a shit about the game. So
if you were saying he might have been broken up with by
I thought maybe
by Hannah Cavender before the game.
Cavender broke up with him or something before the game. Broke his heart. Had to get the Lamborghini truck repossessed.
That was your take last year with Joe Burrow, that Livy Dunn dumped him and went to Paul Skeens, and that's why he was so bad. And then he got hurt, and it was a self-sabotage.
Those are facts.
Those are facts. That's Uncle T's hot take of the week. This hot take of the week is Carson Beck broke up with by Hannah Cavender. That was that was the title to our first ever podcast episode. It was like Livy Dunn breaks up with Joe Burrow or something like that. It was funny.
That's actually pretty funny. I did not know that.
Dude, if you remove Carson Beck's game against Tennessee Tech, you take that game out, he's thrown 12 touchdowns and 11 interceptions this year. That's nuts.
Yeah.
For a guy who's supposed to, that is like.
With a guy that has that much talent around him, that's insane.
It's unbelievable. That's the thing about it. It's like you have all those 5 stars. It's not like this Georgia team is bad. They're down maybe from what they've been in years past, but they have plenty of 4 and 5 star guys all around that program. You saw it against Texas. It came out in the bright lights. Let's see here. I guess real quick, let's just do this because we're almost done. Quick discussion. I'm going to put the updated college football playoff bracket up there real quick. And I know we're going to talk about a little bit of this on Wednesday when we have our guest on, but I want to just
see what it is now. Well, we can see what it is now compared to what it is on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Also, shout out Bearcats. Nice win. Louisiana Tech.
How about
it was ugly, but it was a win.
9-3.
That's right.
Did the starting quarterback play?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, man. That's not good. That's not good. He's getting back in a rhythm. They're going to rhythm. Do they play on Wednesday this week again?
No, they're back to, I think, Saturdays.
Okay.
And they have a real big game this week because it's Jacksonville State.
Ooh, that actually could determine.
Oh, no, sorry, at Kennesaw State. And no, actually, sorry, they have a bye. Then it's at Kennesaw State, at Jacksonville State versus
Liberty. What are you
Liberty.
smoking? That was way off.
Well, I didn't know they had a bye. But I got them mixed up.
I'm just saying, you were quickly like, oh yeah, they play Jacksonville State. Wait, that's in 4 weeks. That was like big dog.
I skipped over Jacksonville, Kennesaw State, which it shouldn't do because they knocked off Liberty. So the Owls are playing good ball.
How dare you? That's like big dog. Could win. That was like big dog calling a game where he's like, hey, stops it. It's a pass to run. It's a pass, run, snap, fumble, touchdown. That's him calling a game.
Many seizures.
Okay. I'm going to put this up here. That is not it. That is Jordan Bird from WNBA or not. Can I click on this? Okay, here we go. So this is what it would look like right now. Okay. Although is this updated? Because I thought Texas was number 5. Texas is number 5, aren't they? Oh, no, because they have to take the conference champion.
That is the updated one. Because Penn State's 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got I'll put this picture up here on so you'll be able to look at it. I'm not going to explain what we're looking at because you'll be seeing it, but essentially we're looking at, let's see, who's the last team in right here? Bama's the last team in. Who's on the outside looking in? Can you pull that up for me since I'm using this?
Outside looking in. Let me look at the rankings. Outside looking in here,
just so we can kind of discuss this.
Outside looking in would be SMU, LSU, Texas A&M, Ole Miss.
Okay, so here's a very interesting. Let's just kind of go through some of this stuff and you take it. We'll go wherever it leads us. All right, Alabama currently the last spot in, and I mentioned this before. Boise State is the group of 5. It's just whoever the highest ranked conference champion is going to get that 12th spot no matter what. Doesn't matter where they're ranked, right? However, like we said, there's a possibility. Army won again this week. By the way, did you see Dave Portnoy's tweet about the Army quarterback? It's the same shit I've been saying for years. There's no rules on the injury report. He ended up having a 17 parlay that would have won $500,000. And
he's
the
like,
Army
I'm still a
quarterback,
military man.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but they should be investigated.
He tweeted out,
still an Army
now,
man.
it was a little much. He tweeted out, this was the worst beat of my gambling career. Like, no, it was not. It wasn't even
He said that?
Yeah, they were up 13-3 with like 1 minute to go and scored a late touchdown. But I think he meant the fact that Army 100% would have covered if the quarterback was it. I don't know that they would have. It's an Air Force type game.
What was the spread of that game?
21.5, I think.
Oh, okay.
They would have had to win by over 3 touchdowns. Okay, Air Force is horrible. They're like 1-7.
Yeah, they're bad.
Anyway, all right. So if Army wins out, and I know I asked you this last week, if Army wins out, beats Notre Dame, I don't even know if Navy's going to go. They lost to Rice this week. They have fallen off, but they win their conference. They win that, and Boise is ranked ahead of them. Do both get in? Does Boise get in at large and Army get that 12th spot? Just looking at this, Boise is not far off. Boise's 12. So just to get...
Man, yeah,
Oh, here's the other question. Am I wrong? Let's say Boise, just for sake of argument, Boise's 12, right? Let's say teams lose. Let's say Boise finishes 10. By default, they take a spot, correct? They don't get the 12 spot. Or how does that work? Meaning, let's say Boise gets the
From my
8th
understanding,
spot.
It's just the top ranked non-power 4 gets to 12 spots.
See, that's stupid to me.
Yeah,
because
I don't necessarily
if
agree
Boise
with that.
gets 7, if Boise's ranked 7th, they should get in.
Sure, they may well, if Boise is ranked 7, you're saying they should be the 7th.
They should be the 7, and then the next...
That could be the case. I'm not sure. I have no idea.
I don't either. I'm just saying it'd be really dumb if like they were ranked above that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a non-power 4, and then you end up like say 5th, whatever. Say you're making this up, but
Right.
say you're number 1 in the country.
Right.
You can't be a top 4, but
5.
you should be the 5. Yeah.
And the other thing is just in terms of like playing the game, and I don't think Boise's going to be like they don't play anybody, so they shouldn't, especially with the college football playoff rankings. I don't think they're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't think they'll probably finish 12. They'll probably make that easy on themselves. However, if I'm Boise and that doesn't happen, if I'm the 7th seed, I play that game at home. Right, like that's a big difference for them playing on the blue turf,
for sure.
on the Smurf turf, right? Like you that's a big. I want to clarify that.
We'll have to look into that and
Yeah.
see. I don't know what the exact rule is, but yeah, if they could somehow play that game at home, it would be a big help. I mean, I just don't think, obviously, if Army does beat Notre Dame when they play, that would be. I don't think it would. Well, I guess they would be undefeated though, right?
Yeah.
So then, I don't know what would happen.
Now I will
But
say,
I do think that you're right, that Boise State, I mean, regardless, say Army wins out, but Boise State still has to deserve to go in. I know they haven't played anybody, but their only loss was a 1-score game to Oregon. So
Right.
it's like, who is the now unanimous number 1 team in the country? So
and here's the thing, like what's gonna be weird and interesting to me is to see how they do this. Like I'm curious because let's say Boise State ends up ranked 10th, right? Or whatever, right? Above 12, take 10th. And let's say Army loses and they don't make it, right? Now there's no other group of 5 team who is going to qualify, correct? But Boise is the only team who qualifies. They're the highest ranked conference champion. They go. They are set technically by rule the 12, but there's no other team to go. So do they just keep? You know what I mean? It's another team thing. Do they go to the 10 seed? Because then who becomes the 12 seed at that point?
right.
Who becomes the 12? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how
It's kind of confusing the way they didn't explain
Yeah.
that. And then also, just to be fair, I think Army could legitimately lose to Notre Dame, UTSA, or Navy. UTSA is playing better football right now. Even
they
North
just beat Memphis.
I don't think North Texas will beat them, but dude, you look at their schedule. Listen to Army's schedule, right? Lehigh, Florida Atlantic, Rice, Temple, Tulsa, UAB, East Carolina Air Force. I don't think a single one of those teams has a winning record. So they haven't played a soul.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's going to baptize them, okay? It's going to be bad.
I think Notre Dame will kill them. We'll see.
Does Bama get in? They play LSU this week in Death Valley at night.
Man, that game is such a toss-up. Let me just see
I
the
believe
rest of the
LSU has
schedule.
won 37 consecutive games at night in their home stadium.
Yeah, it's crazy.
6:30,
and Alabama's favored.
And they beat Alabama at home last time they played with Jaden Daniels.
No, you know what? I'm going to say they're not going to get in. They could lose this game, and then the Classic where they play Auburn, I don't think they're going to lose that game, obviously, but that game always is just a cluster.
Where is it?
Oh, it's at Bama. So, yeah, they probably won't lose that one. I don't know. I'm going to say they're not going to get in.
Okay, not going to get in. If they beat LSU, though, you think they have they probably...
If they beat LSU, then...
They have above 50% chance to get in. Yeah. Hopefully they lose one of those two games because I don't want to see Bama doesn't deserve to be in this playoff. They're not good. Okay. Ole Miss. Ole Miss wins this week against Georgia. Will they get in?
I think Ole Miss. I'm just going to stick with them because I've had it since the beginning of the year getting in. So I'm going to take them to get in.
But they have to win that game, correct? If they lose to Georgia, 3 losses, they don't have can't have no shot.
No shot.
No shot. Okay. Same thing with A&M. Right now that they've lost once, they have another loss regardless. Even if it's to Texas, the last game, they're out with a 3rd loss, correct?
Yeah,
there's no way.
That's their 3rd loss.
Yeah. There's no way. Their second SEC loss.
It literally is coming down. Ole Miss is going to come down to this game because, hey, listen, they do play at Florida, but obviously if Florida has that backup quarterback, which it still could be a dicey game, and then at home against Mississippi State, and I know Mississippi State's playing, slightly better football, but I just don't expect them. I do think they'll win both those games. So,
do you think they have a legitimate shot to beat Georgia this week? I do.
I think they're going to beat Georgia this week.
I hope they do.
I think
really
they're going to beat Georgia this week. Yes.
Last question. And bring up any topic you want. Notre Dame's going to get in for sure, just because of their schedule. More than likely, Indiana gets in.
So Notre Dame, you think is going to get in even if they lose to USC the last game?
Yeah, they're not losing to USC. USC
I'm just saying. I mean, I don't think they'll lose to USC.
No, if they lost to USC, they would not be in. Their schedule.
So they got to win out.
I mean, look at their schedule. It's just like, how could you put them in?
No, I agree.
I mean, it's horrible. What is the best? A&M on the road is their only decent win. Navy, that win looks way worse now. Louisville, Northern Illinois, lost to Northern Illinois, beat Purdue, Miami, Ohio,
the only hope would be like if Army's undefeated and they play them and Army's 15 in the country and they get that win and then somehow slip up to USC. But yeah, I don't think they'll get in. I think they got to win out for sure.
Dude, is Lincoln Riley better watch out, man. I told you that 3 weeks ago. They're 4-5. They're going to miss a bowl game, dude.
He didn't care. He's making so much money.
I know he doesn't care, but he might want to care with his job security.
Burning briskets. And no. I'm just saying they got to pay him regardless. So.
I mean, what did they make a bowl game last year?
Yeah. They beat
Louisville in the Holiday Bowl or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Anything else from here? Tennessee's the only other I just think BYU that spot is whoever wins the Big 12, and Big 12 has nobody else in. So I'm not really interested with that. The only other interesting topic here that we haven't discussed would be most of these other teams I believe are pretty close to locked in, barring major slip ups. The only other one would be Tennessee. I think
Tennessee's gonna get ultimately. I know Bailey's gonna hate this, but I think they're gonna get in. I think they're gonna lose to Georgia. And then it'll all come down to Vanderbilt. I think a 2-loss Tennessee team is going to end up getting in.
It
just all depends on how it shakes up with Ole Miss, though. You know what I mean? Like, if Ole Miss ends up winning,
right,
and then they have the same amount of losses, I'd put Ole Miss in. But if Ole Miss loses to Georgia, then Tennessee's got a pretty good shot of getting in with 2 losses.
Agree. I would agree with that.
Because there's going to be at least, obviously, I mean, in my opinion, there's going to be, I think they're going to put in, at least 3 SEC teams.
I think 4.
I think that's what I'm saying. So at least 3, possibly 4. But so that's what I'm trying to say. So I think at least 4.
So there's 4 projected on there right now.
They're not going to get a 5th though. It'll be 4.
You don't think it'll be a 5th?
No, I don't. I don't think so. Because there's going to be Indiana that's going to have 1 loss. There's going to be I don't think there'll be a 5th. I'm going to say there's going to be 4 SEC teams.
That actually sucks because I just think that there should be you take the 5 best SEC teams. The only team I don't think deserves to be there in that bracket right now. Well, there's a couple teams who don't deserve it because I like Indiana. They haven't played anybody. Notre Dame does not deserve to be in. I know Jeremiah won't like that. They're the second worst team in that bracket behind Tennessee. I guess the third behind BYU and Tennessee. BYU's probably the worst team in this bracket. Tennessee.
I know you like Boise State. If Notre Dame with their front 7 played Boise State, Notre Dame would beat Boise State.
Take it back. I'm let me talk Power 4 teams. I don't count Boise State because I agree. I think everybody would beat Boise State.
Notre Dame would beat.
I guess my point is I just think Notre Dame has played nobody. They lost to Northern Illinois. They're gonna have no real win on their schedule.
If Notre Dame played BYU, I think, although I love the BYU, I think Notre Dame would probably beat BYU.
That's what I just said. I said the only teams that I think, okay, BYU.
I honest to God, too, and I don't think you're going to like this take. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting. I think they'd beat Miami, too.
BYU.
Miami just keeps winning these crazy games against bad defenses.
Look, BYU and Boise are the auto qualifiers in my eyes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They're not a top 12 team. Okay, but their schedule, what they've done resume wise, and what they're gonna get in, right? I take those two out. You take the other 10 teams. The teams that I have I'll just say the teams I have question marks about all these teams, but the biggest question marks, Tennessee to me with that kid at quarterback, I do not like them whatsoever. I think they have a 0% chance. I'll put it this way: I think they have a 0% chance or a 1% chance to win a national title. Okay,
the only thing I'll say
Notre
about
Dame
that,
has a 1% chance to win a national title. Indiana has a 1%. Everybody else, I can make an argument that could win the whole thing. I don't think Notre Dame has any shot to win a title. 1%.
Yeah, I would say. I mean,
they cannot win 4 games.
I don't think
there's no way.
I don't think they can. With
There's
Riley
no way.
Leonard for sure.
They honestly, them versus Indiana would be a very good game if Indiana had Rourke.
I think Notre Dame would be favored by like 2 points.
Yes,
in
they
that
would.
game. It's
That's
something
exactly
like that.
right.
Maybe like something like that.
That's exactly
the
right.
only thing I'll say about Tennessee is I agree with you. I don't think Nico's great, whatever. But you made a point about this. Their defense is much better than usual.
It's really good.
Yeah, their defense is good.
Very, very good.
Very
They're
good.
a top 3 defense in the SEC.
Texas. The more I see them play, I think Texas is number 1, and I think Tennessee's number 2.
Tennessee's number 2, and I think you could argue South Carolina's front at least is up there. Their secondary's not great.
And then the rest of them are just very mediocre as far as
even
they go.
Georgia's mediocre this year.
Yeah.
Just besides the Texas game, what have they done?
Yeah.
And I think it's and last point I'll close with.
I'm
this.
hoping SMU sneaks in the
I
Pony
do too.
Express.
I would love it. I'll close with this. This year, and I do power rankings like point spread power rankings every year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for my gambling picks and stuff. The 2022 Georgia Bulldog team would be favored by 11.5 points over the best team over the number 1 power rated team this year.
Yeah.
That's how bad. And I'm not trying to be a hater here. I'm just saying that's how down this year is compared to past years. That Georgia Bulldogs, the national champion. Dude, I went back and looked. You remember that Tennessee team with Hendon Hooker? That beat Bama that year? They were number 1 for like a second, but then they lost 2 games at the end of the year. Going into this week right now, they would be the number 1 power rated team in the country point spread wise. That's how down this year is. It's just ridiculous how down this year is.
Yeah.
And it's because of NIL. It's because of, it's because of the transfer portal. All of those things. We have new players every year, and teams don't care as much. You can lose 2 games and get in the playoff now. It doesn't matter as much, and it's very, very down. We're going to see if Big Dog's going to come on, but I'll close it real quick. That's all we got for you guys today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to add this at the beginning, but we are starting an additional thing. It's called Patreon, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to set up this thing called Patreon, and it's going to be a way for people to support the podcast. We have an ability to monetize. We've had that ability for 6 months, where we can monetize, and then every time somebody views it, we get a very small amount of money. We've decided not to do that in the 6 months because we want to keep it ad-free for everybody. We don't want people having to watch ads when they click on our stuff. And we're not going to make a ton anyway. However, we're foregoing a little bit of money, and we want to keep it ad-free for you guys, but we need some support from around our supporters. So if you want to, there's 2 ways to donate. I'm going to put my Venmo down there, and I'm also going to put the Patreon account, preferably the Patreon. Basically what it is you're going to go on there, and we're going to post like extra content that's not available to people who don't pay and subscribe to this. You want to, we'll put it on there. Like you can donate anywhere from $5 to $50 a month, whatever you want to do. And it'll go towards us trying to get guests like the person we're getting on here on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
It'll go towards us improving equipment around here. Like we have very nice equipment, but we have 1 really good mic and 2 solid mics. So we'd like to have 3 good ones. And we don't make any money off this, right? Like we're not making any money, and we want to keep it ad-free for you guys. So if you want to support the show, that'd be a huge help to us, all of our subscribers, all of our supporters, so we can keep this thing growing and build it up to something big and better and more fun and entertaining. So again, I'll put all the link to that in the description. I'll put a little title on it below, but make sure to go check that out if you're interested in supporting the podcast. If you want to do that, we would really greatly appreciate it. But other than that, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week for podcast episode number 58. And then make sure to check out our Wednesday show with our special guest. Thank you guys, and we'll catch you guys next.